Hello Year 1 and welcome to your science learning for today. So this is session 1 of 2 because you have a 2-hour science lesson normally. So if they're slightly shorter, we sometimes put kind of like 2 lessons together. So this is your first session, okay? So your mission objective is to know the basic part of the plant, which you would have done a little bit of that last lesson, and labelling, which is why there's going to be sort of 2 sessions because you did a little bit of that in your last lesson. So first of all, if you did grow a cress plant, there was a box at the bottom of your last sheet. So before you move on to this, you can write up about the changes that you've noticed about your 2 different cress seeds or different plants that you grew, and what's the difference between them and which one grew better. And then you can move on to this. So your mission objective is to know the basic parts of a plant. So your rocket words are your key words, so flower, leaf, branch, root, and stem. And your scientific skill is just to observe closely and use scientific words. So your mission starter, can you name or label different parts of the plant? So do you remember any from last week? And then think about, do you know what any of these parts of the plant do? What is their function? Why are they useful? What do they do for the plant? So I'll pause it here, and then you can do that in your own time. So here's your answers. So you should have at the very top is the bud. So that's where there's not quite a flower, but it's ready to grow. Then you've got obviously the one where the bud has sprouted, so it's flower. You've got leaves, stem. You've got flower, leaves, stem, roots, and then your seed, where obviously your plant grows from. So your rocket words are flower, which is the blossom of a plant. Leaf is the flat, usually green part of a plant, joined at one end to the stem. Branch is the part of a tree that grows out from the main trunk. Root is the part of a plant that grows down into the earth to get water and food. You have stem, which is stick-like, central part of a plant that grows above the ground from which the leaves grow. It's a bit like if it was a tree, it'd be its trunk. So, have you ever looked at a pretty flower plant and wondered how they grow? So it starts when a seed is planted or dropped into the ground. So it always starts from the seed. Okay, so when the seed is planted and it then grows. So the first part to grow is the roots. The roots help to keep the plant standing. Okay, so that's one of its functions. And also it's used to suck up the water and the water from the soil, but also the nutrients out of the soil. So it's the food for the plant, the water and the food for the plant. On trees, some roots can grow underground as far as the tree is tall over ground. So the roots can be just as long as the tree is tall. Whilst the roots go downwards, the stem of the plant begins to grow above the ground. So this starts from a little shoot. Okay, so it starts from the seed and then a little shoot. When it receives more water and more nutrients through the roots, it will continue to grow upwards. So it uses its roots, soaks up all that water and all that goodness out of the soil, all those nutrients, and that then travels up to grow. It soaks that up and that supports it to grow upwards. Stems of the plant transport the water and nutrients from the roots to the other parts of the plant. So your roots, soak that all up, and then it goes up the stem and then into the leaves. Okay, which if you've ever used celery and with water and put the celery sticks in the water, you can put food colouring in, you can see how the water travels through the roots. It's a very interesting little thing you can do if you wanted to try that out. So, of course, plants come in all shapes and sizes, which we discussed last week. The stem of a tree is known as a trunk, which has branches growing from it. These can be big and wide. In plants, the stem is thinner and more fragile. So tree trunks are normally a lot bigger, wider, stronger than possibly the plant. So they're more fragile, a bit more bendy, they might blow in the wind, whereas the tree doesn't as much. More sturdy and solid. So can you remember what roots and stems are and what they do? So what are their functions? So what do the roots do? What is its functions? And the same with the stem. What does it do? What is its job? Why is it important? So the buds grow off the stem, and these buds can grow into leaves or flowers. So they start off really compact, so really small, and then they begin to open up and then they grow, but only when the conditions are right. So as long as it's got enough water through obviously the roots and the stem, food, so nutrients out of the soil, and also sunlight as well. So the leaves usually open up wide. As you can see, these leaves are opening up wide, which here it says, it might sound strange, but the leaves are part of the plant which breathes. So it breathes through the leaves. So we, as humans, we take in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. Okay, so we breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. With plants, it's slightly different. So the plants and with leaves, they do the opposite. So it breathes in carbon dioxide, but then it breathes out oxygen. So we help plants and they help us. So before you pick a leaf, this is really important because I've spoken to some children about this, is think about how important they are. So when you pick that leaf, it can no longer breathe or give us what we need. Okay, so we can no longer then get what we need if we pick the plants, which is really important why we say about cutting down trees. Okay, because as we breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide, the plants breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. Okay, so we need that oxygen from the plants. But if we get rid of all our plants and our trees, then we won't have any oxygen to breathe, because that's what the plants do. They produce that oxygen that we breathe in. So, talk to your partner what leaves and buds are and why are they important. Again, what their function. Okay, you can pause them if you need to do that. So buds can also grow into flowers. Flowers are coloured and they smell. So these insects take pollen from the plant and take it to another plant. The plant grow a new plant. You can see that what bees do, they're very important. They take pollen, they take plants as they travel, it helps grow plants. It's great. So some flowers grow into fruit as well. For example, apples, they start to blossom before they grow to fruit. So the seeds inside apples and watermelons, they help new apple trees and watermelons grow. So sometimes if you replant those seeds, they can grow. So when a plant dies, the parts of it will fall back into the soil. This gives the soil more nutrients and it allows new plants to feed off that. Okay, feed off the plant and the dead plant and its nutrients. And then it can grow again. So this is called the life cycle of a plant. And you'll learn more about that another time or later on in the year or in year 2. So you can see this is the process if you look on the screen. So it starts with the seed. You can see it slightly sprouts, then the bud grows. And as the bud grows, it then opens up and the leaves start to grow. And you can see the process, and then the flower grows and the flower then opens. Okay, and then eventually till the flower then dies and it goes back into the ground and then helps other new plants grow. So, thinking scientifically now, discuss why each part of the plant in this diagram is important. So, why is the flower important? Why is the leaf important? Why is the stem important? Why is the seed important? And we've been through all of that, so you can always go back and listen to the PowerPoint again and go through those things again. Okay, but hopefully you've remembered. So, what you are going to do is observe a plant. You don't have to observe a plant that you have grown. It might be if you haven't been able to grow one, it might be one if you go on a walk. You might see a plant, okay, that you could draw, and then you're going to label it and then write what the functions of each part of the plant are. So a bit more than just labeling. I want to know what each part of the plant, which each part of the plant, what its job is, what it does, what's its function. So why each part is important to the flower or the plant, okay? So not only do I want you to know the basic parts of the plant, but tell me what they do, okay? So you can go on a walk, you can look in your garden, choose a plant, draw it, and then label it and explain what each part of that plant does. Then I think we've got there's some questions near the end. No, but it's here suggests that you can use magnifying glass if you like. And then if you have got summer plants or you've been on a walk, you might want to walk again in a few more weeks or in the summer and see, has the plant changed? Has it grown more? Have different plants grown? Okay, so then looking at if there's any changes when you go on another walk. So draw or paint. You can paint a plant if you've got paints at home. Draw it, colour it in, however you like, make it pretty. If it's got flowers, then it will be nice to have some colour, and then label it. And then can you say what its functions are? Okay, so what each part does, what its job is. Okay, so what we use to draw your picture, can you find a plant to help you with your picture? And what parts of the plant are you going to label? Okay, and I think that is everything. So good luck. enjoy this first part of your learning. Now remember, you labelled a plant last week, so you should be really good at that. So what you now need to look at doing is thinking about what each part of the plant does this week. Okay, that's kind of your fly high, but I think you can do that. Okay, enjoy.